first things first, you want to make sure that you have body art quality henna. This is really the most important thing. Anything that's not body art quality could potentially cause damage or have undesirable or toxic chemicals. If the packet promises to give you black hair, red hair, blonde hair, anything, you should probably stay away. You really want to use only body art quality henna for this process. Now, I don't really measure when I'm making this. I just make enough to coat my hair, so it really depends on how long your hair is. I then add an oil, I add some honey, and lastly, I add some tea. Now, with this recipe, you can actually just mix it with water if you want, but I prefer to add some extras just to get some extra nourishment. So the oils have so many benefits. It really depends on which oil you use. I used the Ayurvedic oil that I made in the last video, or I think the video before that. I add some honey just for some moisture and some shine. This mask can be a little drying, so it's always good to add sort of a moisturizing component. And then I mix either with black tea or green tea. This time I used black tea. I like to use black tea or green tea because those two teas also help with shine and they also help with hair shedding. So they're a really good substitute for water. But like I said, you can literally just mix this with water if you prefer. And I just mix the whole thing until I get a cake batter consistency. Again, this really depends on how long and thick your hair is, but I just keep adding and adjusting until I get the desired consistency. You don't want it too thick or else it'll be so difficult to work through your hair, but you don't want it too thin or else it'll make such a mess. Once you're done, you just want to cover this and leave it in a warm place overnight, ready for use tomorrow. So by the next morning, it should be this color, a brownish color. So as you saw before, it was green, now it's brown. This means that it's ready to go. What you want to do now is put on some gloves. Henna stains. That's probably one of the biggest cons of using henna. It really stains, so you definitely want to put some gloves on. I don't usually do this step because I've been using henna for a while, but this is a really good way to prevent your skin from staining at all. Just get some Vaseline. You can also use like coconut oil or anything that's sort of oily or slippery, and just sort of apply it around the perimeter of your head, so on your ears, on your face and your neck. Now, while we're here, I figured it would be a good time just to say that if you've never used henna before, I really don't recommend going straight to this method. I recommend using the henna in an oil, so for example the oil we made 2 videos ago, or using it in a tea. That's literally when you mix it with water and then you strain the herbs out, or mix it with your deep conditioner. If you go from never using henna before to using this method, it could potentially be way too strengthening for your hair and it could lead to setbacks. So I strongly recommend that you don't go straight to this method if you've never used it before. So now all I'm doing here is just applying the henna to my hair. It's a very similar application process to what I did in the deep conditioning video, for example. You just want to make sure that all your hair is coated. You can make smaller sections if you want. I find this size tends to work for me, but you just want to make sure all your hair is completely covered. You don't want to go through all this effort and only cover certain parts. I always focus my henna on the ends as well, because as we all know, the ends are the weakest and oldest parts of the hair, so they need the most strengthening and they need the most care. While I'm applying the henna, I just wanted to run through some of the pros and cons of using henna, because while I know it's quite popular, I know a lot of people also don't know too much about it. So these are some of the pros and cons that I've noticed and other people have noticed while using henna. So the pros, it's very strengthening. That's probably the number one thing you'll hear when people talk about henna. It's extremely strengthening. A lot of people use it in place of a protein treatment. And it sort of repairs damage that's been done to the strands. So it's really good for people who sort of manipulate their hair a lot and stuff like that. It's a natural product, so for people who like to stay away from chemicals or synthetics, it is a natural product. However, that does not mean that you can't have an allergic reaction or some sort of a negative reaction. So whenever using a new product, you should try and do a patch test. But it does fulfill that natural side of things if that's what you're interested in. It adds shine and definition. Every time I do a henna treatment, my curls are so defined afterwards, and that usually lasts until I'm ready for the next henna treatment. It just has your curls looking so shiny and really makes them pop. Like I said before, it does repair damage to the strands, and it also has various nutrients in it on its own. After all, it is a herb. And lastly, it's very versatile. So like I mentioned before, you can use it in an oil, you can use it in a hair tea. Like I said, that's when you mix the herbs with water, allow that to infuse, and then strain the herbs out. You can use it for a mask like I'm doing here. You can use it for a gloss. Again, like I mentioned before, a gloss is when you mix the henna with a deep conditioner and apply it to your hair. It's just a very versatile product. A lot of people even mix it into hair butters or hair creams. So there's so many uses for it. However, some of the cons, it can cause setbacks if you don't know how to use it. So that's why I mentioned earlier that if you've never used henna before, you shouldn't go straight to using the full strength mask. You should at least start slowly with an oil or a gloss. It's also very time consuming and very messy. So like you've seen in this video, I had to mix it the night before, leave it overnight. Then I have to leave it on my hair for at least 4 hours. It is time consuming, and as you can see from my towel, it is very, very, very messy. So, you know, it involves wearing clothes that you don't want, that you don't mind if they get messed up, or using a towel that you don't mind if it gets stained, and it just requires a lot of time and effort. This could be a pro or a con for some people depending on you and your hair goals, but some people find that it does loosen the curl pattern. I personally have not found this to be true for myself, but I know that it is something that a lot of people have mentioned, that it does loosen the curl pattern. Like I said, depending on your hair and what you like, this could be a pro, this could be a con for you. It also does color the hair. So I have black hair naturally, so it's not so obvious on my hair. It's really only when I'm in the sun that you can see like a brownish reddish tint. But if you do have lighter hair, maybe blonde hair or lighter color, it'll definitely go like a brownish red color. So that's something to be very, very cautious of if you don't want your hair colored at all. It can also interfere with hair dyes. So if you've had your hair dyed in the past, I really would recommend staying away from henna because it can really interfere with that color. There have been stories of people literally showing up with green hair because they used henna on top of previously dyed hair. So I do not recommend. If you are looking for a henna alternative that doesn't color the hair, you can use cassia. Cassia is also really good. It's not quite as effective as henna, but you get a lot of the same properties and a lot of the same benefits without the hair coloring and without the time-consuming nature of henna. So yeah, we're done with the pros and cons. The most important thing now is leave this on your hair for at least 4 hours. I suggest wrapping your hair in a scarf or something, and afterwards you must deep condition your hair. It is so important, it's non-negotiable. You need to deep condition your hair after this process. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow on social media and like and subscribe.